This is Rennie Knopf with ChampionshipBBQ.tv, and you're listening to the Barbecue Central Show.
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and oh! Should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
All right, and good evening, and welcome to the really big Barbecue Central Show. This is the show that talks about all things important in the world of barbecue and grilling, broadcasting live from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city of Cleveland, Ohio. It is the barbecue capital of the North Coast. I'm your program host, Greg Rempe. Happy to have you aboard here on your Tuesday evening. If you want to jump in on the show tonight, more than happy to have you, 216-220-0966. You can also email the show, greg@thebbqcentralshow.com. And here's what's happening. In his normal third Tuesday of the month spot, Stephen Reichlin will be joining us in about 13 minutes from now. And coming up in the 9:35 segment, first-timers to the show. However, two-time contest winners in a row in subsequent weeks, the past two to be exact. Wade Carpenter and Luis Fernandez of Los Slow Cookers will join me as well. I'm only doing 1 hour tonight, folks. From a business standpoint, I needed to get on for an hour at least and get my obligations in, as I do feel obligated to the folks that are doing business with me to do business back with them no matter what. But Louisville, Kentucky, while fine on the volleyball side of things, the oldest finishing fourth in the gold bracket out of 75 teams, also afforded me the opportunity to get sick, which I rarely do. So I need to get these out of the way, so I apologize. And for the haters on iTunes who think that this is just a run of the ads to make money and all that other crap, tonight you might have. Yeah. Here's what I need to tell you about up front. Chops Power Injector, okay, was the 2015 Barbecue Tool of the Year. The NBBQA took place this past weekend. They are now, again, repeat. We have multiple repeats to talk about on the show tonight. They are the 2016 Barbecue Tool of the Year as well. Each Chops Power Injector system features not one, not two, but four needles evenly spaced at the perfect distance for injecting. They have the half-gallon, the 1 gallon, the Chops electric full power injector system. The half-gallon and the the half-gallon and the 1 gallon come with 2 replacement plastic needle adapters, 3 plug screws, and a needle protector. The half-gallon's $100 plus shipping anywhere. The full gallon is $120 plus shipping anywhere. The Chops full power injector system isn't a holding tank, but it does have a 3.5-foot pickup tube that you can put in any size container, from a half-gallon to a 55-gallon drum. You have 14-gauge needles, 3-inch 12-gauge, 2-inch 11.5-gauge, 3 plug screws, and a needle protector. $325 plus shipping anywhere. If you go to barbecuekansascity.com, that's BARBEQUE, barbecuekansascity.com, you can grab one there. They're handmade in Kansas City, Missouri. Dan Uladal does it. And you can also inject alcohol into fruit if you want. Believe me, I would love to be injecting alcohol into my mouth right now. You can get extra accessories as well at barbecuekansascity.com. But congratulations, first and foremost, to Dan Uladal for repeating as Barbecue Product of the Year. And as anybody that can tell you who has tried the Chops Power Injector System, that you will literally wonder how you got by without it. I mean, it's that good. It's really that good. I'm going to ask Steven Reichlin. I'm going to ask Steven Reichlin about it as well. So, what? Oh, boy. Katie Rempe, busting balls. Greg, sure you weren't voted the tool of the year again? Whoa, hey-oh. Tonight, maybe. Tonight, maybe I am. All right. Also, aside from congratulating Dan for being the best barbecue tool of the year in 2016, creating the best. I might be the best barbecue tool of the year, but Dan has created the best barbecue implement. As I had mentioned, aside from being down in Louisville this past weekend and contracting disease, I also had, I didn't know this, but the guy that makes Pit Barrel Cooker, Noah Glanville, who up until literally a couple days ago, I didn't realize he moved out of Denver or the Colorado area, to be specific, and he moved to just north of Louisville. So on Saturday, when we had some downtime in between waves of volleyball, which literally allows for zero free time to see. It's like you travel, but you really don't travel. You get to see insides of convention centers for 2 days. But I got to hang out with Noah and his wife Amber for maybe 2 hours before I had to turn back out in the expo. Or well, I guess it was team dinner at that point. But I got to learn a lot about Noah as a human. And through conversations I'm not going to have on this air because they are not for me to share. And I knew he was military guy, prior, but I didn't know the extent after the fact. And what he's doing in barbecue is so, it is certainly important to the industry, and it's his business and all that other stuff. But holding that all aside, this has to be one of the most magnanimous, selfless, patriotic human beings I have ever come across in my life. And I'm not saying that. I mean, he's got no financial ties to this show whatsoever, but just learning on the surface what this guy has done for this country, it is completely unbelievable and humbling for me to be in his presence, taking in a few Kentucky bourbon barrel ales, or whatever they were called. It's beer finished in bourbon cask. It's delicious. And it comes in 8-ounce snifters at the Brick House in Louisville. And we did not feel very manly drinking out of snifters. But just getting to know him and his wife, who I guess kind of through letting him continue to do that military thing while he was doing it before the whole pit barrel thing. Just fabulous human beings. I mean, what can I say? I am happy to call them friends through this show, and their success in the industry is proven, and the product is great, and they've continued to grow and succeed over the course of the last handful of years in the pit barrel industry, or the barrel industry cooker. So I want to take this time to personally thank them for making time to come out and hang out with me, even though it was for a couple hours, and I wish it could have been 10 or 12 hours, but Louisville isn't that far away, so I never travel anywhere, right, unless it's for kid stuff. I mean, that's just the bottom line. But meeting good people like that, meeting people that have put their lives potentially down for our freedom back here is great. And, I appreciate that. So thanks again to Noah and to Amber for having me out. Here's breaking news that I wanted to share with you guys very quickly, and specifically for the Texas people. The IBCA and the Texas Gulf Coast Barbecue Association would like to announce effective tomorrow, the two groups will merge. Texas Gulf Coast will merge with IBCA, become part of the IBCA as the governing sanctioning body. All cook-offs that are scheduled will go on as IBCA events. This is not and was not an easy decision by either group. For the state of Texas, as great cooks and promoters, this is a positive and logical decision for the future and growth of Texas barbecue. One state, one great organization. The annual Texas Gulf Coast Memorial Cook-Off that is held every year will go on as scheduled May 20th, May 21st at the KOA in Conroe. That's posted by Craig Sherry, who is the president of IBCA. So, Texas Gulf Coast and IBCA, breaking news, are now one. How about that? Yeah, I would do that too, Chad, if I didn't feel like I was also going to vomit right now. Nevertheless, before we get to Steven Reichlin, let me talk to you quickly about the Barbecue Guru. Gang, if you've been thinking about automatic pit temperature control devices, then stop here. This is a company that started it all. They are the creators of this technology. Why are you going to buy from any other company? If you're not familiar with how these little beauties work, I'm not going to get into the minutia, but imagine a product that allows you to set pit temperatures, and once you get it at the temperature you want, keeps it all the way through the cook. There's currently a number of different models to choose from. You have the CyberQ Wi-Fi, which a lot of people like because they have the smart devices, the phones, the computers, the netbooks, the laptops, tablets. If you have those, you connect it, you can run up to 2 different pits on this particular device. And you can get internal temperature readings. So, in real life, if you need to check your internal temperatures of meats, you don't even have to get out of bed anymore. You can look at it right on your device. And if it's cooking too fast or cooking too slow, you can ramp the pit temp up or down to accommodate. Also, it can go into a hold so your meat never overcooks, but keeps it out of the danger zone as well. If you're in the market for a cooker, look no further than the Onyx Oven. It accommodates half and full pans for food service, works seamlessly with any of the Barbecue Guru pit temperature control devices. So do yourself a favor. Head on over to thebbqguru.com and check out their products. If you have any questions about what to order, call them directly, 800-288-GURU. That's 800-288-GURU. And they will make sure you're outfitted with exactly what you need to get you up and running right out of the box. Again, that's 800-288-GURU, or you can visit the website, thebbqguru.com. Again, if you have any questions about what to order, call them. Rob Boss, or Bass. You know we would have loved to see you, man. Come on. Next time. All right, Steven Reichlin coming up. Chad Ward efforting Craig Sherry at 10:05 as my backup potentially. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting live from the Barbecue Central Radio Network studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Radio Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right, welcome back. This portion of the Barbecue Central Show is being brought to you by the Green Mountain Grills, manufacturers of some of the best pellet cookers out there on the market today. If you're looking for a big cooker to house a lot of food, they got one for you. How about something for medium-sized stuff? They got you covered there, too. Even tailgates, they can do you there as well. Check them out, greenmountaingrills.com. That's greenmountaingrills.com. I use my Green Mountain Grill all the time. You could use yours all the time as well if you just visit the website, greenmountaingrills.com. All right, joining me now, a person that can be seen on the third Tuesday of each month on this show, a 2015 Barbecue Hall of Fame inductee, a TV show host, a barbecue cooking class instructor, multiple-time author, and the person singularly responsible for my indoctrination into the world of caviar. Let's go ahead and race to the hotline and welcome back friend of the show, Steven Reichlin. Steven, how are you, buddy?
Great, Greg. How are you?
I'm doing great, Stephen, and appreciate you making time, as always, for the show. A couple different places that we're going to be running at tonight, and first things first. Last week, I had opportunity to talk to my second Tuesday of the month guest, Meathead Goldwyn from AmazingRibs.com, and we tried some crazy fakakta, let's do a live remote at the NBBQA type thing at a restaurant, and concept was great. Execution was piss poor, but we learned, and perhaps that will be adjusted for next year. However, you were there as well, so I guess let's go ahead and start there first. We talked about it on this show a few months ago, but your talk or speech or keynote or whatever it was over there was top 10 or 12 trends as you see it for 2016. So let me ask you, with 1/4 of the year almost effectively in the can, and as I say on this show, 2016 rapidly coming to a close, do you feel your trend list is panning out after 3 months?
Well, I definitely feel some of the trend list is panning out. And one of the trends, wood-burning grills at high-end restaurants. I mean, my God, I'm in Miami Beach. Within a 6-block radius, 4 new high-end restaurants have opened up with massive Grillworks wood-burning grills, or wood-burning ovens from South America. And that's happening all over the place. I was up in Baltimore a few weeks ago finishing some extra taping for the Project Smoke TV show. We went out to a restaurant called La Cuchara. This is Baltimore, where I grew up. Baltimore, backwater Baltimore. This incredibly hip, gorgeous restaurant with a wood-burning grill as its focal point. So that one, definitely true. Vegetables getting their due. Definitely true. People upgrading their meats, really talking about where your meat and your food comes from. Definitely true.
What about lesser-known meats and seafood?
Oh, absolutely. Well, I mean, octopus, if I could count, I can't even, I've lost count of the number of restaurants I've eaten at that are serving grilled octopus now.
Really?
I mean, that's become as commonplace as, crab artichoke dip was 20 years ago. Are you an octopus fan, Greg? I mean, I know you had your indoctrination with caviar.
I would have to tell you, I've never had octopus.
All right, we got to do some serious eating together sometime. Now, do you ever leave Cleveland, or am I going to have to come to Cleveland?
Do you know who you're dealing with? Here's a guy, 41 years of age, born and raised in upstate New York, Saratoga Springs for the most part. So, I know Caroline Street. I know thoroughbred racing and beer and liquor. But to say that my culinary palate is vast and wide-sweeping might be a little bit of a overstatement. I just have...
Well, Craig, come on. You got some great restaurants in Cleveland. I mean, Jonathan Green, the Greenhouse. I mean, that's fantastic. Michael Simon came from Cleveland. I guarantee you, I came out to Cleveland. We went on a 36-hour eating spree. I could give you a graduate school education in minutes.
All right. Well, I do get out of Cleveland. This past weekend, I was in Louisville, where I was able to contract disease, but also was able to meet some great people out in Louisville.
Okay.
So, every once in a while, I get out. But I mean, if you ever made it to Cleveland, I would be.
I will make it to Cleveland. My assistant Nancy Lowski. Some of you know her because she's a big part of the website. She answers a lot of the emails and just totally indispensable. And she lives in Cleveland. Anyway, onwards.
It could be a date. So here we go. Let me ask you about one of the other items in your trend list. Desserts get smoked, and even cocktails. Are you seeing that more and more, or is that something that's still yet to pan out over the course of the year?
Oh, no, more and more. I mean, just thinking about, and again, I see this stuff in restaurants because I think restaurants, in a way, lead the charge. But in the new Project Smoke book, and we also did it on the show, a smoked chocolate brioche bread pudding. I first saw that at a restaurant called Alden and Harlow in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Fantastic dish. What they did is they smoked the bread cubes and then made the bread pudding. And then I took it one step further by cooking the bread pudding in a smoker, so you get a double blast of flavor. Smoked cocktails, I mean, they're so prevalent, I hardly even know where to begin.
So you have that device. I don't know if it's called like a smoking gun or
smoking gun is one. The Aladdin smoker is another. Yeah.
Does that, for lack of a better term, perfume the house with smoke as well? You're putting in, I guess, sawdust more or less to generate that smoke, but does it kind of affect the house as well?
It really doesn't because, a little bit, but you're working in a very contained environment. The way these things work, you have a bowl covered with plastic wrap where you might have put mayonnaise or potato salad that you want to smoke. Or you have a cocktail in a cocktail shaker covered with plastic. So the whole idea is to concentrate the smoke, bring it in close proximity with the food or drink you want to smoke.
So when we talk about smoke, Stephen, here's the thing that I wonder. You put that kind of a smoke in a cocktail or some type of hors d'oeuvre. When you think about smoke in a smoker, what's everybody say? You want to get, when you're burning wood, you want to get it so it's either the sweet blue or it's hardly noticeable. You don't want the billowy smoke, this, that, and the other thing. When you're using the smoking gun, obviously you visibly see the smoke. So is there a pungent smoke flavor that's imparted? Is it the bad smoke versus the good smoke? What's the palatable texture there?
It's a perceptible smoke. It's a good smoke. Remember, you're measuring smoking with a smoking gun in minutes, not hours. Okay, so and it's a much more subtle. You're putting a veneer of smoke on the food. I use a smoking gun a lot, and I have yet to oversmoke anything with it.
Stephen Reichlin joining me here on the show. BarbecueBible.com is the website. The TV show Project Smoke can be found projectsmoke.org. So, Stephen, if we go back to this past weekend in NBBQA, you're out there giving the talk on the barbecue trends. How are you reached out to in regards to that? Does Mama Shedhead call you and say, hey, Stephen, we'd love you to come out and give a talk on whatever you want? Do they give you some ideas? Like, how does one get Stephen Reichlin to come and give a talk?
Well, Mama Shed called me and said, we'd like you to be the keynote speaker at the association meeting. And, it was my birthday, but that was not something I was going to miss. These are my people, and this is what I do. I love talking about barbecue. This talk actually began 2 million years ago. I did my history of barbecue talk and then wove it into future trends.
So are you in and out at something like this, or is there enough other people and other talks and stuff to keep you around for an extra day or so?
I would have loved to have stayed the whole weekend, but I had family dinner obligation to get back to. So unfortunately, it was kind of a quick turn and burn. I did stay for the afternoon and for the dinner on Thursday night, and that was nice.
Did you get around and see any of the exhibitors?
I did.
So
yeah.
Here's what I want to ask you. Products on display that you thought you were bringing barbecue and grilling value to the consumer. What stuck out to you as being good?
Well, there were two things, and unfortunately I don't have the proper names of each, but maybe you can look them up, put them on the website. One was a very cool injector, a multiple injector, multiple needles, immersion hose that goes in the brine.
That happens to be a proud sponsor of this show.
Okay.
The Chops Power Injector System.
That's right. Okay. So that was really cool. And then bearing out what I was talking about, big point, sort of what your food eats, how it's raised matters as much as how you smoke it. So there was a display of Duroc pork products. That's a heritage breed raised for flavor, not just for quick growth and maximum volume. And plus Cheerwine. And I mean, if you come from North Carolina, or even if you're passing through, you can't imagine barbecue without Cheerwine.
Is that what you would specify as like a hyper-regional type thing, the Cheerwine? Because just having kind of been related to the industry for so many years, I know Cheerwine and I know what portion of the country usually drinks it, but is that something that you specifically find just there, or do traditional barbecue joints across the country carry that type of a thing?
In my experience, it's pretty local.
Stephen Reichlin joining me here on the show. Stephen, is this a event that this humble host should consider attending next year or at some point? Is there value for me to get down there and check that out?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, first of all, this is our barbecue community. Very interesting seminars to attend. And, I'd say probably the person that would benefit the most is the operator, the person that has a barbecue restaurant or wants to start a barbecue restaurant. Lots of seminars on the business of barbecue, on techniques, networking. But, we are a community. We are a very tightly knit community. We may have different opinions about things, and these are our people. Plus, next year I can tell you it's going to be in Fort Worth, and they are planning an absolutely killer conference. So definitely.
All right, so something else I wanted to talk to you about. St. Patty's Day is coming up in, is it 2 days from now, I think, or whatever?
Yep.
So St.
I'm
Patty's...
be in New Orleans, by the way, for St. Patrick's Day, heading out to the HPBA, the Hearth Patio and Barbecue Show in New Orleans.
Another show I should probably consider attending at some point before I...
And that's much more a gear show, if you kind of want to be up on what all the latest grills and smokers and accessories are.
Got it. So, in regards to St. Patty's Day, Stephen, a day to eat or a throwaway day to surrender to drunken plunder, decadence, and debauchery, or both, or neither?
For me, it's a day to eat. Every year we've done some variation on a smoked corned beef. So this year we said, you know what? Why not do pastrami? Why not do it? It's a corned beef, right? Corning meaning cured, coming from an old English word for corn, kernels of salt. Big pieces of salt, and so we do a home smoked pastrami that we turn into an absolutely amazing pastrami sandwich. I don't know if you guys all know Rob Boss. Rob is big member of our barbecue community.
Oh, yeah.
He was our fire wrangler on the set of Project Smoke this year. Does a lot of photography and recipes for us, and that's his Reuben sandwich. And I got to tell you, Reuben sandwiches just don't get better than that.
Yeah, Rob Boss actually in the chat room tonight, and
Cool.
I would say one of us very jealous that he gets to hang with one Stephen Reichlin during Project Smoke. So there's corned beef and there's pastrami. If gun to the head, do you have a favorite, or it doesn't matter to you?
I would rather eat pastrami in the sense that it's smoked. I mean, if it were traditional corned beef, which is just boiled, you know what? No, I'm not going to go there. I love both. I think both have a great place. I was about to say that, and then I was thinking about the perfect deli corned beef sandwich, where the corned beef is sliced tissue thin, and it's got that sort of iridescent quality from the curing salts, and that's pretty awesome too. Yeah,
that's like the staple mark of two different places in Cleveland. One is Slyman's Deli, which is famous for the Reubens and / corned beef sandwiches, which I don't know if you were there or not, but and then also Corky and Lenny's over on the east side in Beechwood, Ohio, which is famously known.
Fantastic. Well, it sounds like I got to get to Cleveland. We got to go on an eating spree.
Absolutely. So, in closing, let me ask you about another post that you had on barbecuebible.com, which was building a smokehouse. So if you're a guy that loves smoking and you love fire and you love the charcoal or the wood or however you're doing, even pellets for crying out loud, who cares, as long as you're doing it. The smokehouse can be a little bit different. You have the vessel, you have tubing, you have an offset firebox, way down the way there because temperatures are very important. Is that something that people should consider adding to the arsenal?
Well, I built mine because, first of all, I wanted to make like a more permanent commitment. I'm always wheeling smokers and grills in and out to try them. And I wanted an edifice on my property. I also, I love cold smoke food, and I find that a smokehouse is great for cold smoking. And I mean, I'll smoke things. I'll smoke fish for days and days and days in the style of Scandinavia. And it's great. And it really establishes your bona fides. And I was amazed because the first blog I posted about my smokehouse, I was amazed at how many people sent in pictures of their smokehouses. I mean, this is something that people actually do.
Stephen Reichlin joining me here on the show. BarbecueBible.com is the website, the main website. ProjectSmoke.org is the TV website. That show is coming up in the spring, right?
Yeah, we're launching Memorial Day.
That's right, Memorial Day. So you're going to be at HPBA. Are you just going as a vested interest? Are you being contracted? What's the deal?
Well, I have a line of Best of Barbecue products, and we have a number of new products coming out this year. We actually have a number of new products that are oriented towards smoking. So I will be at the Companion Group booth on Friday from, I think, 10 to 2 or 10 to 3, if anybody's attending the fair, showing my new line of products. I'll also be walking the floor to see what everybody else is doing. It's a great reunion for meeting old friends that you kind of see once a year.
Stephen,
and we're gonna eat out incredible. I mean, I have every breakfast, lunch, and dinner planned for 4 days. And by the way, this wood-burning grill in fine dining restaurants thing has also hit New Orleans. So I'm expecting some amazing live fire food.
Oh, I can't imagine the food that's going to be taking place there. Indulge me just for 1 second, Stephen. As you are walking the show, is it how noticeable are you? Does everybody notice you? Are you a 50-50 guy? I guess here's what I'm getting at. If I'm walking down the street with Guy Fieri,
right,
like everybody knows that guy. So, I walk down with him, I'm getting cast off chicks, it's great, whatever. So to the barbecue people, you're like the Guy Fieri of barbecue. But I wonder where the transcendence starts. Do most people recognize you? Or if I walk the floor, nobody would give a fuck about me. Who am I? But I'm just trying to gauge statuses and where people rank.
Well, look, I never like to toot my own horn, but I would
Let's
say
toot.
I'm pretty well known at this particular event. And it'll start in the airport because so many people are coming in from elsewhere. Somebody once wrote of me, he's a minor celebrity. And I kind of, after I got over the initial sting of that, I thought, yeah, that's it. And that's nice. And people who are in this world or people who have my books, a lot of people come up and say, I have your books. And that feels really good. But I can go out to restaurants. I don't have to hide or wear a wig or anything like that. So I would say it's a nice balance, but definitely HPBA, the Hardware Show, National Barbecue Show Association, those are my people.
As far as the Barbecue University class is concerned, is that something that's still taking enrollment? Where are we at with that?
I'm sorry. I'm happy to say, but I'm also sorry to say we've been sold out for a couple of months.
Wow.
But if you're interested in attending that, we are taking a waiting list, and we may try and put another session on this year.
All right, and that's at the Broadmoor in Colorado?
Broadmoor Resort, gorgeous resort in Colorado Springs, height of luxury. And, man, when you get up on the side of the mountain, that's Cheyenne Mountain where we have the school, and you see our 40-some grills and smokers all smoking at one time, if you're in this world, it's like dying and going to heaven.
Do you, Steve, let me ask you, and I've only asked pit masters in competition this when they get into Colorado, do you have to account for the thin air up there as you're giving a class? When you're teaching somebody up there and they're going back to Ohio or New York, they're not dealing with the same kind of elements. So you have to bring that across to them as well?
Oh, yeah, you bet. And, I've sort of figured it out now, but the first time I tried to do grilled pizza at that altitude.
Yeah, good luck.
I mean, my dough was, it was a sorry thing. Cooking times are longer. And dough, I'd say the main problem is with yeasted dough. I mean, that's where the biggest challenge is. But you do have to add cooking time.
Stephen Reichlin can be found here on the third Tuesday of each month. His website's barbecuebible.com and projectsmoke.org. Stephen, always appreciate the time. Enjoy your time in New Orleans, and we'll talk to you again next month.
Can't wait. Take care, man. Bye-bye.
There he is, Stephen Reichlin. Multiple-time author, TV show host, cooking class instructor, all that stuff. He's right there. Stephen Reichlin. Great guy. He does my show once a month. That's all. Okay, if you're like me, you're trying to think of ways to step up the barbecue and grilling game. Poofa. I am not talking about what I just read. Programming note. 10:05, Chad Ward coming out of the bullpen in relief of this sorry ass with Craig Sherry to talk about the merge that I just broke. Remember, the important news was that I broke the news. That's the important news. Butcher's Barbecue. Look, the products are great. I just donated some of my own private stock to a softball charity because I know it's going to go over like gangbusters. Made a whole basket out of Butcher's Barbecue stuff. It's great. ButcherBBQ.com is the place to go. The bird boosters, the grilling oils, the injections, the pork beef, the prime, the open pit pork, all of the new rubs, all the sauce, of course. Butcher's Barbecue sweet sauce is my favorite sauce. All you have to do is head on over to the website, which is newly revamped. ButcherBBQ.com. That's ButcherBBQ.com. And stock up. Buy a box of 6 of the sauce. The new rubs are fantastic. I'm getting through each one. Of course, I've been a fan of the grilling oils for, has it been over a year now? Dave, how long have the grilling oils been out? I feel like it's been a year. Maybe a little more than a year. Fabulous stuff. The grilling oil is so great because it's right there on the table or the counter. It doesn't have to get hidden away because it's going to go bad or it's going to go rancid or anything like that. So, head on over to butcherbbq.com and stock up. You're going to be happy that you did. All right, when we come back, Wade Carpenter and Luis Fernandez, Los Slow Cookers. Talk about turn and burn. We're coming up right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Smoke. Call 877-448-0433 to get on the air. Now, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
Oh, welcome back to the show. This portion being brought to you by cookinpellets.com. Your number one source for quality wood pellets for all of your pellet-driven cookers. Visit cookinpellets.com for more information or to purchase. If you want to purchase from Amazon.com, you can do that there as well. I talked to Chris Becker just the other day. We're going to get him on to talk about what's new in the world of cooking pellets. But we thank them for their continued support of the show. Again, the cookinpellets.com. Download their app, and when Amazon gets a bug up their rear end and decide to blow out the shipping, they will be able to give you the updates there. All right. My next two guests are on a 2-contest win streak. They won Freedom Fest in Conkin. I hope I'm saying that right. Conkin, Texas, 2 weeks ago. This past weekend, they tore it up in Pleasanton, Texas. Walked away with the Grand Championship at the Turn and Burn. So let's go ahead and head over to the hotline and welcome the pitmasters of Los Slow Cookers, Wade Carpenter and Luis Fernandez. Gentlemen, thanks for joining me on the show. How are you tonight?
Good evening, Greg.
All right.
Glad to see you here.
Well, I'm glad to see you guys. Well, look at what we've done here. In the last 40 minutes, we've produced the Los Slow Cookers banner, which I thought was tucked away in some university. And I think easy to say the most highly advanced audio-visual team ever that I've had on the show. You got mics and everything. Outrageous. Thank you, guys.
Oh, not a problem. We aim to please.
All right, so you are pleasing beyond expectation at the moment, and we see some great trophies, and it looks like a lodge pan in front of you there, or a cast iron skillet, which I'm sure we'll get to here in just a moment. Perhaps a little background about you guys, I guess individually, and then kind of where your background in barbecue started.
We started in April of 2014. Just kind of, you tell that story. You told the story better earlier today.
Yeah. Well, we kind of started. He called me on one night and said, "Hey, I bought this egg and I want to grill some steaks. What do you want to come over?" So I said, "Sure, let's go over." Grilled the suckers up, and then 2 weeks later, he's like, "Hey, there's this cook-off in Concan. You want to go do it?" Sure, why not? And so I have a tendency to do that. Sure, why not? And get myself in trouble.
True.
And so 2 years later, here we are.
All right, so Wade, let me ask you if you could do something, because I'm not getting a lot of heat from Luis's mic for whatever reason. So if you want to just take your mic off the stand there, and you guys can pass it around just for sake of convenience, I guess.
Better?
Yeah, absolutely. So can you re-say that, Luis? I'm sorry.
Sure, no problem. I'll go a little deeper there and get a little more voice into it. Is that better?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, okay. So, I'll start off with a green egg that Wade bought. He called me over, texted me, and said, "Hey, I'm grilling some steaks. You want to come over and help me out?" Like, sure, why not? Let me go to help you out. We got those going, and then, of course, it got turned into a little project. Wade calls me about 2 weeks later, says, "Hey, there's this cook-off in Concan that's going on. You ever think about competing?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" And like I said, of course, that gets me in trouble a lot of times saying, "Sure, why not?" And so we went out there to Concan and had a tough field, and we ended up with a 6th place brisket. And after that, we were hooked. And so 2 years later, here we are, and of course, our biggest accomplishment to date of winning Turn and Burn.
So between, the 2 years, now 2 years is when you're cooking, but the history, I guess, of barbecue, at least for you, Wade, has been a little bit more long stretching than that, right?
Yeah, I started with a festival that we promote here in Uvalde. Let me tell you where we are. First of all, Uvalde is located about a town of about 15,000 people, and we are the foothills of the Texas Hill Country. And we are about 70 miles southwest of San Antonio, between San Antonio and Mexico, basically. So that kind of gives you a picture of where we are. But we have a festival that been going on the 20th year this year, called Palomino Fest. And the cook-off started there. We had Briscoe, our former Texas Governor Dolph Briscoe lived in Uvalde, and we needed something that he wanted to be a part of. And so Briscoe Ranch, was one of the largest landowners, still his estate is now. And so we came up with a cook-off that really wanted to promote beef. And then that went into a sanctioned event with IBCA. Our festival itself outgrew the facility that we had to have both the festival and a cook-off, and for the cook-off to be able to grow. And so we made, about 3 or 4 years ago, we made the cook-off its own event at Uvalde County Fairplex. And now 2014, it was 34 teams. Now it's 2015, 115 teams, and it's grown. So I really came from the area of promoter first and realized that, hey, we really need to kind of be getting out there and learning how to make our cook-off better than to get out there and do it with the rest of them. So, and here we are. So I'd never cooked a brisket until January of 2014 in my life. Didn't even own a pit.
Were you eating brisket at that point?
Oh, of course.
There was always people that could cook it better, though, right?
Yeah, well, we're working on it. You get surprised at every time that you try to cook one, and you never know what's going to happen. This is kind of the weekend that we didn't know what was going to happen. It was down to the last. We didn't get any calls in chicken or in ribs, whereas in last week before we go in first place chicken. So this week we was down to the last call. It happened to be with 200 teams, that many teams. It was very spread out on the numbers, and so 10th place brisket was 10 points, with brisket being the tiebreaker, and kind of just got it. We were just as shocked as anyone else. So
Wade Carpenter and Luis Fernandez joining me here, pitmasters of Los Slow Cookers. For those that don't speak Spanish, by the way, that means the slow cookers. So, I'm showing my duality there. So let me ask you guys, with two guys on the team, and I've talked to a number of other pitmasters where there's 2 or 3 or sometimes 5 guys on the team. Do you guys have different roles that are well developed, and here are the boundaries and we don't cross, or do you guys work well like hand in glove? Like, what's the deal with? Yeah, look, I mean, I know how it is. Alpha males are alpha males, so I just wonder how that dynamic works.
Well, normally what I do is I do the chicken and ribs, and Wade takes care of the brisket. Of course, we help each other out. He tells me, hey, it looks a little too much sauce, a little too much, not enough sauce taste wise, and I do the same thing for his brisket. Of course, I drive him nuts. I'm going to admit that, because he's more of the technical, write everything down step by step, one quarter cup of this, quarter cup of that, and I'm the I think about this much and I think about that much and we're good. And then of course it places, and then it's like, well, what'd you do? Well, I did this and I did that. And so of course I do drive him crazy with that, but the team works. And I mean, when we place and we score big, it's kind of like, well, we forgot about that. I didn't measure anything and just kind of threw it together. But we've maintained it pretty consistent lately. So I promised and follow steps a little closer and actually follow directions, and I'm actually timing and doing different things that I didn't do before. So at least I'm making them a little bit happy on that part. But no, we work well together. Like I said, he's more of the writing the things down and that part, and I'm the crazy guy that just like, they just get this go.
So, I would say, Luis, that in an FBA sanctioning body or a KCBS sanctioning body, that might be an Achilles heel, because consistency and identical replication, if you're winning, is something that you want to do week and week and week and week after week. However, there's a difference here. KCBS and FBA have these certified judges, but Texas isn't really that kind of a deal. I don't want to call it like off the street, but I mean, it's kind of a people's choice thing. So if you're, in X city in Texas this week, it's going to be whoever they can get to fill the judge's tent. And if you're in another city, it's going to be those people. So maybe in this type of a situation, it's probably not playing against you that much as it would in other sanctioning bodies. You think?
Yeah, I think so. Although I must admit, I do a little bit of measuring. It's not an actual traditional measuring cup, but it's the lid of the the oil. Like, okay, 2 cup lids was good, and 2 cups of this was good. So I'm getting there, and I guess the results are showing it, I guess.
No doubt about it. I mean, 2 in a row, regardless of sanctioning body, is certainly something to be proud of. So, as you look at the turn and burn contest, huge names in there, of course. With one win in the chamber from the week before, are you guys carrying any extra confidence heading into this past weekend, or perhaps the opposite, because the biggest teams out there are looking to win? I mean, huge payout, huge money to win here, which they're typically there isn't really huge payouts for winners in You're not in barbecue or competition barbecue to make a lot of money, right? But this is one of those oddball ones where there's a lot of money to be won. So are you confident because you have the win from the past week rolling in, or what's the mindset?
I think a little bit of both. We did have the confidence because, we'd started hitting with different competitions we were coming in. We had hit that first place chicken, we had a 7th place rib and a 3rd place brisket. So we felt comfortable, but of course, it's nothing like going into some elite competition. When you have big Ernest out there, you have CJ, you have the giant Darren Harwells, Eric Thomas from Georgia, all those top names that were out there. It was still kind of a little bit of intimidating, but at the same time, like, let's see where we measure up with these guys. Let's see where we're at. We've been in this 2 years. We've given it out everything we got. Who knows? I mean, and, guys from the Valley, we had Killer V Barbecue that did great in Florida. They got a grand champion out in Florida. And, Fred Robles, he's been on a hot streak. He's got 6 grand champions, if I recall. He needs 1 more to get that Jack Daniels invite. And so seeing those guys out there, it's great. But also, I think the camaraderie that you get to talk to those guys, listen into what their conversations, giving you pointers, tips here and there, comparing notes, things of that sort, that really helps out a lot. And I guess in a way makes us feel a little more comfortable, like, hey, these guys are embracing us. These guys are giving us the confidence that we needed as well to know that we can do well. And that's my side. I don't know about Wade, how he felt.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. We're just, how could you not be intimidated a little bit, but you also have confidence. A year ago, on Facebook it comes up, what was happening a year ago. I saw the other day, I remember posting this as, I'm not sure we even really belong here, and I kind of felt the same way this year, but with a little bit more confidence, from a year ago. You certainly learn a lot in a year. And so, but never do it this is kind of a once in a lifetime. I feel like we won the lottery sort of a deal with a number being called like that. That's, you never really expect that to happen. And we certainly, after going, striking 2 strikes with the chicken and the brisket, chicken and the ribs, and then coming down to the very last call, you're thinking, hey, we were here having fun, didn't expect to win anything, but man, well, how exciting was it at the end? We didn't really know how to take it, but we're glad to take it. So
Wade, what's the reception like when you get called as overall grand champ? Are people a little surprised? Do they know that you guys have really put in the time and effort, blood, sweat, and tears? Is there respect amongst the peers?
Oh, there's nothing, just respect from all of us, and I think everybody is, anytime we see, even us, if we see somebody that has been not won or not been winning, and then they come and get that one, man, they're just more excited than anything. Ernest Cervantes, who's also one of our local natives here in Uvalde on Pitmasters and everything, he was one of the first ones to come up and give us a hug and say he was so proud. And so, he was there competing too. And so that means a lot. And but I think it would have been mutual had he won or anybody else won that hadn't, been a part of the scene for many years. We'd congratulate him just as well.
Wade, let me ask you a question. In some of the other sanctioning bodies, you're starting to see, I don't know if it's an expectation, I think many people would think it's an expectation, of the higher-end briskets, the Wagyu briskets that you're seeing from Snake River Farms and Strew Branch and some of these other people. Is that something that's really made its way down to Texas, or can you still get away with many would consider to be a commodity-style brisket?
Be honest, I've never had a Wagyu brisket. I've never cooked one. I don't think that I've heard that you're aware of either, that really any Wagyu briskets aren't really cooked down here. It's really choice to prime. To be honest with you, I had gotten 3 primes on sale for $1.97 a pound at the local grocery store in January. That was one of the last ones I had in the freezer, and took it out to cook this past weekend, and it won first place. So it was a prime, but I think we've cooked choice and done well with choice as well.
Do you think that's a regional thing? Do you think that's a Texas deal? And if you got into KCBS or FBA, you would have to move to a master purveyor or a Snake River Farms or somebody like that in order to be competitive?
I don't know.
Is that a reason why to not go to KCBS or FBA?
We haven't cooked either one of those yet, but I'm sure that once we feel that we're ready, we might head that direction,
We did get an invitation to the American Royale for our Grand Champion at Concan, so that might be our opportunity to do that in. But actually, it's funny that you asked that question, because the night before, Friday night, we were talking to 2 cooks, Hector and Matias, were out there, and that question came up, would a Wagyu actually do better compared to a prime or anything? And the consensus between us 3 was, in Texas, Wagyu is not a very common meat, and so it might actually be a drawback, because somebody might taste something and be like, wait a minute, I've never tasted this before. What is it? Where the traditional brisket from the local grocery store is something everybody knows here. And so, and we all agreed on the same page, maybe in the East Texas, North Texas, a little further out, maybe the Wagyu would be the better choice than the ones we use here. But in this area, that's probably better than going Wagyu or one of the upper tier briskets.
Guys, where are you going to be competing at next to make it 3 in a row?
We'll be in San Antonio this Saturday at Cowboys Dance Hall Shootout.
All right. Wade Carpenter, Luis Fernandez, Pitmasters.
Can I bring up one more thing real quick?
Sure.
And I mentioned to you on the phone earlier today, one thing that has really become popular down here, and we're so glad, is Kids Q Nation, that was started with some friends of ours, Steve Jimenez and Scott Stanish. really bringing more kids involved. And this past weekend, they had 84 kids cooking pork chops, and it's really bringing more and more kids into the sport, and also getting them away from the iPads and getting them away from the all behind the scenes and getting them out there back where they need to be, is outside and with their parents and engagement, and just bringing on the sport. And so you're going to be hearing more and more about Kids Q Nation as we go on and bringing more kids involved in this event, this sport.
You might be hearing a little bit more about Kids Q Nation actually on this show as well coming up. So, I appreciate that information a little bit earlier today as well. Again, we're talking with Wade Carpenter and Luis Fernandez, pitmasters of Los Slow Cookers. 2 wins in a row, looking to make it 3 in a row at the next one. Guys, really appreciate the time tonight. Thanks so much for coming on, and good luck to you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You got it. There they are. Luis Fernandez and Wade Carpenter. Lowe's. Oh, my God. Los Slow Cookers. Again, for my non-Spanish speaking friends, that's the Slow Cookers. Yeah. I'm good like that. What can I tell you? If you didn't know by now, Big Papa Smokers, the one-stop online shop for anyone interested in barbecue. #1 dealer of Mac pellet grills in the world. Big Papa Smokers features a wide selection of American-made grills and smokers, such as the Old Hickory Ace BP, the Gateway Drum Smoker, even a drum kit that gives you everything you need to make a world-class smoker out of a 55-gallon drum. Don't think that BPS can just be pigeonholed into competitive barbecue either. BPS rubs have become so well known, they've been picked up by a nationwide restaurant chain, BJ's Restaurant and Brew House, with 4 of the 9 rubs being featured on their permanent menu. And amid glowing reviews, BPS rubs are proven to be a great addition to anyone's pantry. Big Papa's has also banded together with fellow California-based rub company Simply Marvelous Barbecue to form what has now become known as the West Coast Offense. Defying conventional wisdom, these 2 rub companies have cornered the market on what has become known as the competition barbecue flavor profile. Big Papa Smokers' website features an online meat locker with top quality meats from Snake River Farms, shipped right to your door, from American Kobe beef, the Kurabuta pork, the Double R Ranch meats. Big Papa's Meat Locker has something for every type of barbecue aficionado. Committed to bringing you the very best flavors on the market, Big Papa Smokers last year brought you Swamp Boys barbecue sauce, a fine swine sauce, Granny's barbecue sauce. They're going to bring you some new stuff this year in 2016 as well. Don't forget their unique brand ambassador program called the BPS Elite Team, featuring 15 of the best competition teams in the country working together to promote camaraderie, competition barbecue, and to benefit children's charities across the U.S. Keep in mind that Big Papa Smokers has been able to do all of this with only 5 years of being in the biz, turning the competition barbecue world on its head, providing customers with the very best of barbecue products, becoming a staple of a nationwide restaurant chain, and benefiting children's charities across the U.S. Just the beginning for Big Papa Smokers. It's BigPapaSmokers.com. That's BigPapaSmokers.com. We'll wrap up this show and lead into Chad here shortly. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Big name interviews, advice on cooking brisket and ribs, and the only host willing to share his honest opinion on all things important in the world of barbecue. It's the Barbecue Central Show.
All right, welcome back. Thanks again to my guys, Wade Carpenter and Luis Fernandez, Los Slow Cookers, for joining me this past segment to talk about the win at Turn and Burn. That's a big, huge payout. This portion of the show is brought to you by Cook Shack, manufacturers of smoker ovens for barbecue lovers with any amount of experience, whether you barbecue in the backyard, on competition circuit, or in a 5-star dining facility. Cook Shack has the unit that will do the job, and with a full line of barbecue sauces, spices, pellets, and chunks, it's the perfect one-stop shop. Cook Shack strives to be your barbecue resource center by offering cooking classes, online recipes, how-to videos, 2 blogs, smoking/grilling 101s, and a video cooking classroom. Check out their website at cookshack.com or follow them on these social media destinations: Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Pinterest, and Google+. Get advice or share your passion on barbecue on their world-class barbecue forum. Check Cook Shack's pellet fire smokers are the choice of champions because they were designed by champion Fast Eddie Morin. The FEC 100 and PG 1000 are always customer favorites. The PG 1000 can double as a smoker and a grill, low and slow or hot and fast. Pellet line gives you the most money for your most ability to be flexible. Cook Shack residential electric smokers are the #1 smoker in the industry. High quality meats, high durability, high versatility. Anything you can cook in an oven, you can make in a Cook Shack. Passion and dedication drives Cook Shack's manufacturing and quality, always being at the forefront. Get the best in barbecue since 1962 and call 1-800-423-0698. 0698. That's 800-423-0698, or visit them at cookshack.com. All right. Chad Ward is going to be taking over in 3 minutes. He has Craig Sherry to kick off the top of the second hour. Hold on. He has the president of the IBCA, Craig Sherry, to talk about the merging of Texas Gulf Coast. Now, in all fairness, and credit to be given by Barbecue Central Show's Texas embedded correspondent Doug Scheiding of Rogue Cookers, he has said to me off comms or off on-air comms that the Texas Gulf Coast was not in the best way. So this probably isn't to the folks in Texas, this probably isn't a huge surprise per se, but huge news nonetheless, because as we all know, and if you are followers of this show, you understand that I have asked Doug a number of times, and any other Texas pitmaster, you have 3 different sanctioning bodies. You have IBCA, which I guess is the biggest, right? You have Texas Gulf Coast. You have Lone Star Barbecue Society. So now you have IBCA ingesting Texas Gulf Coast. The question now, which of course I will beg Chad to ask, which I'm sure he's probably, which he probably has already written down to ask Craig Sherry, is when will the ingestation of Lone Star happen and IBCA becomes the effective and only sanctioning body in the state of Texas? Which to me, I guess makes sense, right? You are one state that should be, I'm not going to say should be, that at this point you have Lone Star, you have IBCA. I mean, why not just unify? And now you have IBCA. And then you can grow out from there. You can grow to the east, you can grow from the west, you can grow to the north, of course, or you can just stay in Texas, whatever. But that would be the question that I would be asking Craig Sherry is, now that you're ingesting Texas Gulf Coast, is there a possibility down the road or in a week or in a year that Lone Star becomes part of IBCA as well, or that there's a mutual joining, if you will? Nevertheless, Let me get Chad out on time here as I duck out. In the first hour, we had Stephen Reichland, who's always a great guest. Then we had Wade Carpenter and Luis Fernandez from Los Slow Cookers. Again, Chad Ward up in 45 seconds. He has Craig Sherry on and Simon. Why can't I see that? Simon Flores to wrap up the second hour. Chad, appreciate you picking me up here. We'll be back next week, fully armed and ready to go for 2 hours. September 11th, 2001, I will never forget. And until next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, this is your program host and proud U.S. American, Greg Rempe. Good night now.